For a couple of weeks now, I've been talking about what I want to see from Dragon Maid Season 2 before it wraps up. My biggest was Fafnir. I wanted either an episode or a section of an episode dedicated to him because he's a little underrepresented, in the anime anyway, and just the sidecast in general. And it's as if they just answered my prayers in the most packed episode possible. If you were a Luqua fan, this is for you. She gets a decent chunk along with her master there, and just kind of fleshing out that relationship, the idea of a home life, and that being something pretty frightening for her. To then you have Fafnir and just the gaming obsession and him kind of like integrating more into human society. And then to put a cherry on top, just because, you know, we always get spoiled with Dragon Maid, you get Kana in her adventure to the stream and the little rivers where they cross, and you see this girl actually see Helma in dragon form, and you know, it's CG, of course. Like, what a better cover-up. It's CG. Amazing. And I just want to say, even though it's not related to this video, it kind of is in my own weird way. My PS5 just came in the mail, so I'm just saying, this is how much I respect Dragon Maid, that I'm able to hold off on playing that bad boy, because Dragon Maid needs to be reviewed no matter what. I've reviewed Dragon Maid when I was sick before, like I'm not going to skip out on Dragon Maid. And I have to say that out of every piece of content in this episode, surprisingly the Luqua stuff was most likely, I'd say, my top pick, with Fafnir as a very close second. I mean, Kana's had so much time to shine, it's not really surprising at this point when her content's quality. But I mean, just the whole idea that you have this very, like, perverted situation where clearly the age gap is Chris Hansen level, right? And the fact of the matter is this boy is doing his best to find some form of weakness to put himself in an authority position so he's not treated as a kid or just, you know, subjugated to being just smothered by her enormous rack. And to see the numerous lengths and the hoops that he jumped through in order to find a weakness, to then tie it all together about how her greatest weakness she would have told him had he asked to begin with, and that's the fear of not having a home. Apparently the last time she had a home, it was ripped away from her. So the fact that she stuck by this kid for so long, despite him thinking she doesn't respect him or like him that much, but then when characters like Toru pop up say you're crazy, like, if she didn't like you, she wouldn't be with you because she hardly stays in one place for so long. And I thought that was really sweet. And they even, you know, in a weird way, I mean, from Alulu's breast size being like in-character reasons as why they're not smaller because she can't transform them that small, and they're her flame sacks, they also kind of like gave an in-world reason as to why she's so flirtatious with a child. They literally said in this episode when Fafnir was talking about how the idea of like adults and kids don't really exist, and they never really had that perception until they interacted with humans. So in a weird way, they also cover the tracks there, even if it is Chris Hansen level. And I have to say, the Fafnir content was exactly what I was hoping for, because he's a character who, out of all the dragons, is definitely has pushed back the hardest about the dragons being normal and like thinking they're humans and things like that. We saw it either last week or the week before. And see how this man's just trying to get Fafnir to have dinner with his family, and how Fafnir's like, I'm gaming. The dude's probably beat that game a couple dozen times, but he still wants to play it. And the fact of the matter is the only way that he could ever get him to go have dinner with his family was if he beats him in a fighting game. And seemingly based on that stunlock combo that he was performing, I imagine they did have that dinner. It's nice because Fafnir is the kind of character who's very isolated, but if someone shows strength, if someone shows authority, he kind of steps back a bit. We see that with Toru explaining that when they first met, they were fighting over a cave, and because both were strong, he gave up a portion of the cave. And it kind of, the same thing happened in a weird way when he was talking about how, like, because he obviously wants to have more respect, he wants to open up a bit more, and then we get, you know, this orb, and he ends up giving the orb to Fafnir, and Fafnir, being in a good mood, kind of opens up a bit more. And I think that's exactly what you want to see, because had this been an episode directed as I thought they were, I don't think I would have appreciated it quite as much. I probably, if I'm just saying, like, say half of the episode was Toru, Kana, you know, Kobayashi, the typical formula, and then the other half was Luqua or Fafnir, I would have enjoyed it, and I probably would have raved about it. But seeing how they directed this episode, and they put the focus on the side casts first and foremost, and they made characters like Toru or Kobayashi the side character for this episode, I think really helped set them apart and really let us flesh them out a lot more. And I think that's important for a show like this. Sometimes you don't get as much room in the first season because you're in the middle of introducing all the characters, getting the momentum rolling. And then when you come into a season 2 after such a long break, you think, okay, we're just gonna keep on with the formula we're used to. But Dragon Maid has a really interesting way of making it so every character, before it probably wraps up, feels most importantly like a main character in their own world. And you never know how many seasons an anime gets, right? So I'm really happy with how KyoAni is designing season 2, because even though I know there's probably enough content for 5 seasons as it stands, I'm not sure exactly, but I imagine there's at least a couple more seasons worth of content for sure. And the fact that they're making season 2 feel like they're fleshing out everyone in a way that should they never make a season 3, I don't think you'll see many anime fans saying, wow, they really left this character underdeveloped. You could have said that with season 1, for sure. I myself would have said that. But the fact that we're halfway through season 2 and I'm already feeling like, wow, should they never touch back upon these characters, I can at the very least say they had some branching out in character development, some more than others. And the fact that we're only halfway through and what we just saw with episode 6 says to me that it's only going to get better from here. And should they introduce another character, I'm not going to be sweating in the slightest. I'll say, you know what, given how they fleshed out new characters like Lulu, fan favorites like Fafnir, they really have, everything in order right now. And if you love season 1, I'd be shocked if people are saying either they're not liking it as much as season 1, or they're liking it more than season 1, because season 2 to me is already, I think, miles above where the first season was. And that's not a diss on the first season, that's just a compliment how the story's getting better, or KyoAni is taking the best of the source material, fleshing it out, and ignoring the worst of it, which very well could be what's happening. Either way, production remains on point. There's a scene where they're walking to, where the rivers meet, and they just focus on this image of grass, and I was like, why did you detail it that much? I love it. This is wallpaper quality. But why, KyoAni? Why did you go to lengths of spending probably a good hour detailing this grass for a shot that's there for 3 seconds? I don't know, but I appreciate ya, and that's why you have some of the best detailed worlds in the anime medium. This shit is absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad to see the side cast get the attention and spotlight they deserve. Another emotional high point with the idea of home life, to then just opening up with your otaku buddy. Everything about this episode was great, to the more familiar elements like the whole flirtatiousness and how Kana is oblivious to what her friend really wants. This shit is fantastic. I mean, at this point, I don't even know what I really want to see from season 2, because for a couple of weeks now, Fafnir's been my number 1. I want to see Fafnir, and I was convinced we would maybe at episode 8 or 9. So now what do I want to see? I think it would be great if maybe episodes 10 or 11 we get another episode solely dedicated to the side cast, fleshing them out, giving even more character development, just to remind people that this is a cast of characters that's not forgotten or just there for gimmicks. They actually have a personality underneath those funny situations. So I guess that's what I'm going to hope for as well. I don't know if they will or not, but it'll be interesting to see what KyoAni pulls off with its second season, because as it stands, I'm seeing more and more people say, you know what, we might only be 5 or 6 episodes into season 2, but I agree with you. I think it's better than season 1, and I thought season 1 was perfect, and that's exactly how I think most Dragon Maid fans feel at this point in time. Obviously not everyone, it's insane to say everyone will feel a certain way, but it seems like a pretty good opinion right now, which is just saying KyoAni definitely hasn't lost their touch. I'm excited to see where the cast is going to go with the second half of this season. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.